Somebody's jackhammering outside while I'm trying to vlog. What the? I don't see him. Guess the neighbor's getting his driveway redone. As soon as I hit record, the jackhammer goes. Are you done? Okay. So in 2016, I really want to get back to creating more art. With starting up my business, I was doing all this setup, like doing things on the computer and setting up my website and writing newsletters and doing a lot of things that took time away from actually creating calligraphy and lettering, which is what got me here in the first place. Well, in 2016, I want to get back to creating more art. I want to experiment in a much larger format. So I ordered this giant roll of paper, which I want to start doing large format calligraphy on. The problem is, I also want to film it all, but my current film setup only allows me to shoot on small format. So this is my current video setup. I've got the camera overhead on a tripod and it's pointed down. Actually, it's pointed down upside down. If you can see, all the camera controls are up here so that I can see them. And it's pointed straight down at my paper, and I actually write right side up. And what this does is that it allows the tripod legs to be out of my way so that I don't have to wrap myself around the tripod, which would be right in front of me if I'm shooting right side up. But shooting upside down, the tripod legs are out of the way and I can have free space to work with in front of me, and I can do my calligraphy here, and then in post-production I can just flip the image 180. But the problem is, the new paper that I ordered will cover this entire table. And so with the tripod legs in the way, there's no way for me to get the paper across the table. So I have to re-rig my camera overhead in such a way that there are no legs on the table and I can just freely place this giant paper on my desk. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to rig up my camera overhead. When we first moved into this house, we bought this IKEA table from the as-is section, and that's the section of IKEA where it's just like scraps of stuff. You know, maybe it's like a whole table set, but there are some screws missing or there's a board missing or something like that. And we found this table. It's a really nice table. The problem is there was one leg from the table missing. And so we were like, well, that's awesome because it's a $700 table, but now that one leg is missing, the whole set without one leg is only 70 bucks. We ordered hairpin legs from a website and attached them to the tabletop. And we have a brand new dining table that looks really cool and functions really well. But now we have all these leftover legs and support beams. So I'm going to use one of those support beams and mount my old slider to it. That way I have a camera overhead that can slide, and it's going to be a really cool setup. So this is my very old camera slider. This is actually some sort of industrial engineering equipment, sort of DIY'd into a slider. Now that I have this slider available to take with me whenever I need it, this one is just sitting there doing nothing. So what I'm going to do is mount this slider above my desk and point it downwards and mount the camera to it. That way, when it's pointed downwards, I can slide this if I need to, or I can keep it stationary if I want. And I'm actually using this thing that would otherwise just be sitting there. So this is one of the support beams that came with the dining table that I was talking about. Basically what I'm going to do is take this slider and mount it here. So that way it's a longer beam. It'll go all the way across my table and clear the edges of the table. And what's really nice about this is that it already came pre-drilled. So it already has a hole here, which will match up with this hole here perfectly. And it's got pre-drilled holes on the ends, which I'm gonna use to attach to my lighting kit tripods. And these are actually the screws, the leftover screws that came with the table. So these parts will actually fit these holes perfectly. So I get to make use of all these scraps, and that's just awesome. this is what I ended up with. I basically constructed the overhead camera rig to fit perfectly in this space. 2 big light sources coming down in the front, and then 2 small ones in the back, just kind of as fill lights. And I've got a couple of bounce boards here on the side just to fill in these corners here. I think this setup will work. I'm gonna give it a shot now and do some calligraphy and then upload it to Instagram and see how it goes. I think it's gonna work.